All right, you guys. So I had a dream last night, and I don't know if it was prophetic or if I was just dreaming. All I know is I didn't watch nothing to do with any type of world disasters like a flood or anything like that. And I had a dream last night that Atlanta basically was flooded. It flooded. So for whatever reason, I was in Atlanta with the youth. Um, and by youth, I mean with like some college kids and some young people. And the part I remember is we was on this bridge. Like I went to Clark back in the day. So if you went to Clark or if you're from Atlanta, okay, Clark is here. We catch a little shuttle to the little mall right next to Clark where they got like a Taco Bell. They got a Muslim shop in there where they sell wings. And it's like this little, I forgot what it's called, y'all, but it's like right up the street from Clark. And the college kids, we would always ride the shuttle. Okay, or you can walk up there. And when you walk up there, when I used to walk to this little mall right next to, like, up the street from Clark, Atlanta to get something to eat or whatever, or get some clothes or jewelry, it was like a little strip in a bridge and it was a highway underneath. So in this dream, it was me and like three girls on this little bridge, and underneath where that highway is, where you walk to whatever that mall is right there close to Clark, that little so instead of it being the highway on the little strip thing you walk across, it was flooded. And so me and these girls was standing over it, and it was actually sharks in the water, and it had flooded. And it was like 10 sharks. It was like they were coming up, they were swimming, and I was like, y'all, there's sharks in the water. And they were throwing rocks, literally throwing rocks at the shark's head. But when I said there's sharks in the water, they was like, there ain't no sharks in here. Like, my connection keeps freezing. So I think that represents, because Atlanta is like a spiritual Sodom and Gomorrah, I think that these girls, although they were literally throwing the rocks at the shark's head, when I said there were sharks, they truly believed there was no sharks in there. And I think the sharks represented danger, maybe even the wrath of God, because if the city floods and it's sharks, they gonna eat up people. And so they were like, no, there's no sharks. So that meant they were spiritually blinded. They couldn't see. What I think that represents is sometimes the youth, people when they're in sin, they play with the devil, they play with death, they play with danger, and they don't understand the significance of they about to lose their soul, or what they're doing can lead them to hell or lead them to an early grave. And I think that's what it represented when they were throwing the rocks at the shark's head. But I was like, y'all, it's sharks down there. And it was like, ain't no sharks. They didn't see the danger. They didn't see the death. And this water, it was like, I think it the water rising is what it represents, and danger coming. And another part of the dream, I was like, oh my gosh, is that where we parked our car? We was on this same bridge, but this time it was me and a dude, and we had parked down here. I don't know if we was at Clark or somewhere, and I was like, that whole area had flooded. It had to be like 8 to 10 feet of water, but we was on a higher bridge. And I was like, did that thing just flood? And he was like, duh. Some people are so accustomed to or their lifestyle of sin that they don't recognize when death and danger is near, when God is trying to tell them to repent, or when, you know, when it's time, like, Tom, it's a wrap, you've been doing it too much. So he was like, duh, he wasn't taking it serious, is my point. The next thing is, at this point we were okay. Before that, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm from Dallas, I'm not used to it flooding like this. And the other dude was like, whatever, like he was used to it. Again, these people that are just accustomed to sin, or they're not taking danger serious. What that kind of reminded me of was the days of Noah when he was building the ark. They was mocking and laughing him until the flood came. So that's what these gentlemen was being too, like they wasn't taking the flood serious. And it was sharks in the water, so it flooded the city. These sharks are gonna be eating people, and you know it's gonna be torturous. Anyway, the next part, I was in a car and I was fleeing the city. I believe people were fleeing the city, and so in my car, it was my mother and my grandma who have passed on. They're both passed on. They're deceased. My grandma, for some reason, was driving. I don't know why, because she never drove in real life. My mom always drove us. But the thing that was serious was, y'all, we was passing. It was like we was on the highway leaving. And so as we was on the highway, the gravel was switching, and it was turning into dirt road. And so my mama told my grandma, stay on the road, get over on the road. But for some reason, my grandma kept trying to drive us to, like she was trying to kill us, and she kept trying to drive us to the ditch, although my mom was like, stay on the road. And it was my grandma, me, and my mom all in the first seat together. And she kept, like, my grandma kept trying to assassinate us, drive us into the dirt, into the ditch. And so we had to grab the wheel and get back on the road. So be careful who you let direct your life. Be careful who you hang around. Be careful who you're allowing to be God in your life. Allow God to be first in your life, else Someone is going to drive you into a ditch if you are not allowing God to be first in your life. And this God is Jesus Christ. If you're not putting Jesus Christ first, you're allowing your man, your woman, who you probably shacking up with, even if you make your husband or wife an idol, put anything before God, is going to lead you to death. It's going to lead you to hell prematurely. You got to be careful who you're letting drive your life. That's what that represented with my grandma trying to drive us in the ditch. You got to let God lead. You got to be careful who you hang around, and you need to be careful who you are allowing to influence and direct your life. It needs to be Jesus Christ, else that thing or person will lead you to an early grave, thus hell. The next part is, before that, as we're driving on this long strip, right, trying to flee Atlanta, I see this woman, I don't know if she's pregnant, laid out on the road, like trying to commit suicide. And then as we going, I guess I couldn't stop, because if I stopped, we would have got an accident. These cars are coming about to assassinate her. They're going to think they ran her over. They're going to be like, what did I hit? Oh my gosh, I killed somebody. When this lady was planning prematurely her suicide. She was laid out on the highway on the road just like this. I don't even know she was pregnant. And I seen her, but I couldn't stop, and the water was coming behind us. So we had to try to outdrive the storm. That's how it was in the dream. And I seen these cars on the opposite about to run her over. And I seen this other person. I don't know if they were homeless, but they were all on the road. She was laid out. The other one was like on the side. So y'all need to pray. Pray against premature death. Pray against freak accidents. Pray that you repent and give your life to Jesus. Be careful who you let direct your life. Make sure it's only Jesus Christ. And make sure that you pray against stuff like that. If somebody's planning to commit suicide, Lord, don't let it be me. They jump out in the highway in front of. Pray against all that. And I don't know if this was a warning dream, a prophetic dream, but I know Atlanta and everybody else need to repent and get right with Jesus Christ. That I do know. And stop taking death and danger for granted. Stop taking your sinful lifestyle for granted. God is trying to get your attention. Listen, death is not a game. His wrath